Welcome to the Golfish Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Goodman. We're changing things up for the rest of spring and summer and moving the podcast to release every other week. As always, we will continue to bring you fascinating interviews with the people behind the players of the PGA, LPGA, Champions Tour, and beyond. Don't forget to rate or leave a review and tell us how we're doing.
You've probably heard the hype, but have you ever actually considered incorporating CBD into your golf routine? If so, we're confident that our sponsors over at Joint Caddy will make you a CBD believer. Their signature roll-on freeze gel is perfect for any golfer who experiences aches, pains, or soreness on the course, and it comes in a no-mess applicator that eliminates any chance of greasy hands affecting your grip. Plus, it fits perfectly in your golf bag. They also carry their own blend of sublingual drops that will help you relax, or as they like to say, nip the yips. They're great for sleep too. All of Joint Caddy's products are all natural and free of any solvents, sweeteners, or preservatives. They even have the third-party test results listed right on their website. So head to jointcaddy.com and see what all the hype's about. And while you're there, use promo code GOLFISH, JC20, to take 20% off any order.
This week, we're joined by Bert Lamar. If his name sounds familiar, it may be because he competed against Tony Hawk, was a world snowboarding champion, and had a snowboard company that became the standard used in the sport. Bert has been making the transition to golf and now competes in Ironman competitions because the guy does not know how to dabble in anything. He dives in full bore. This week, we discuss his transition between sports, his clothing line Iliac, and his passion for the 80-20 fitness rule that he feels can transform the game of golf. Let's get started.
Hi, Amy.
Hey, Bert, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, you
good.
Sound great. You sound great.
Yeah, sorry. It's the no caller ID.
You're totally fine. It throws everyone off, so I'm very used to it. That's why as soon as you didn't answer, I was like, oh, I bet he's waiting for my call, and that's not going through right. So, no, I completely understand.
Cool.
So, welcome to the Golfish Podcast. We are very excited to have you. So today we have Bert Lamar, and Bert has gotten an interesting start into golf, but tell us where you started, because it started with skateboarding and then snowboarding and now golf. So you've had quite an eclectic history.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Amy. I really appreciate it and love what you do. And,
thank you.
Yeah, I think it's great. So thanks. Yeah, my background, I think now there's a lot more guys coming from different sports, but yeah, I remember at a young age, my older brother was like, yeah, you should check out golf. And then I was 13. I was actually a professional skateboarder. And I was like, no, golf, that's not cool. Those guys are wearing my dad's clothes. There's no way. And then a few years later, I saw actually David Duval. I'm like, that guy looks cool. He's got on some cool Oakleys and stuff. And then I tried it again and just got hooked. You hit a great shot and get a compliment. You're like, okay, this is easy. But yeah. So my background from age 11 through about 17, I was a professional skateboarder. I was one of the youngest to have a pro model with Sims, the Bert Lamar model, and was traveling all over the world with Tony Hawk and Stevie Caballero, who are still friends today. And yeah, so I went from skateboarding actually to snowboarding first, and then I was fell in love with snowboard. I became a two-time world half-pipe champion, and that's where I started my brand Lamar Snowboards and learned how to design and develop product and that. And then when I was sitting in Breckenridge, Colorado, after literally 3 years straight in the snow, just traveling Asia and Europe and everywhere, I remember it was like 5 feet of new powder. I was supposed to go outside for filming or something, and and I'm watching the Masters on TV, and these guys are in shorts, and someone's carrying their bag, and it's nice and warm. Like, I literally just said, that's it. I'm going to go be a pro golfer, and I'm changing. And I went home and got an instructor, and I turned pro like 2 or 3 years into it, and almost made it into the LA Open, and I was hooked. And then 2 years on the mini tour, making no money. I'm like, okay, this isn't as easy as snowboarding.
When you dive in, I mean, you go all in. There's no like just dabbling.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do something, do it right. My parents, my mom showed me, and give it your best, and you get a chance to get your best, or at least say you tried your best.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate coming from a family that essentially like grew up going to lakes and water skiing and things like that. My husband grew up snow skiing, and his brother grew up snowboarding, and I went on a ski trip with them, and I'd never been snow skiing, and I just didn't understand the concept of putting on all these clothes to freeze to go down a hill. So I'm very happy that someone that did it as a career was like, this is crazy. It's very cold, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's fine if you get ready, but you're right. It's a lot easier to just throw on some shorts and go hit a golf ball.
Exactly. Yes.
To put on, especially like the equipment, the boots and everything. Yeah. Golf's pretty comfortable that way. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you transitioned out of 2 very big, very specialized sports. You came into golf. You were on the mini tour. What was your experience like on the mini tour?
Mini tour was just a practice ground there, place to practice and see the best players. I live in Southern California in Carlsbad, where all the golf companies are, and the competition's really tough here. I think like for an LA Open qualifier, there's like thousands of kids, and they're all breaking par, and you have to shoot like 65 to get in anything. And you can go to some other states and there's only like 100 guys.
Right.
Par makes it or something. So it's getting tough now everywhere. But yeah, it was really convenient. I mean, I was able to play tournaments 2 or 3 times a week, and that's, to me, that's the best experience. And it, it really, kept me playing. And as a designer, my mother was a clothing designer. My dad was a tooling mold maker. And I've been in product design with Lamar snowboards for over 12 years, developing kind of the industry leading, bindings and boards.
Mm-hmm.
And brought a lot of innovation, sublimation, a lot of things that I use now with my company, Iliac Golf, in my golf apparel and accessories. And so, yeah.
So tell us about Iliac Golf. What made you transition? Obviously, I mean, mini tour, you mentioned the fact that you weren't making a lot of money, but you still loved the sport. What made you transition to opening Iliac Golf, and what does Iliac specialize in?
Yeah, so when, coming from the snowboard industry, so Lamar Snowboards was my snowboard company. I sold it in like 2000, early 2000s. And that I grew that to like a $15 million snowboard company. And it was like the core high-end, hottest brand in the sport. And the big companies, the ski companies come in and they go after the mass, and a lot of them would just copy my designs and our designs and more core stuff. That they're trying to make things for the mass, basically. And so I sold the company when I got into golf, and I was in a non-compete for 3 years. So I was going to take 3 years off and just play. And I was going to just turn pro and get on the PGA Tour, and that was going to be it. And it didn't happen. And I think I shot like 65 or 67 to make my first check, and it was like $300. And I'm like, wow, it cost me $10,000 to make 300. So, so I started looking at the golf industry. I'm like, well, maybe I'll just do a club company, because that's my specialty, is hard goods. But I've done apparel my whole life. And I didn't really want to get in there and compete with Callaway and those guys with the club. And I noticed that it was kind of like the ski industry. There's all these big companies with kind of a lot of similar product and trying to sell it by price and made in Asia, and just I didn't really see any heart and soul. And so I launched Iliac. I said, there's no way I'm going to wear these Under Armour shirts that are oversized and all this. So I just started making my own product, and everything from, I made a golf bag to head covers and shirts and rain gear. I have a lot of experience with technical outerwear, and just getting around tour players, they wanted it right away. They're like, oh my God, this is better than the stuff I'm getting from FootJoy or Titleist.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden I'm outfitting Zach Johnson and Jimmy Walker and Siwoo Kim and Retief. I'm hanging out with guys that have won 2 US Opens, and I'm going to their house and playing with them. And so for me, it was perfect because as a designer, I want to be in the middle of the battlefield. I want to be out there, walking down the fairway at the US Open when I see, Retief pulling on his pants the wrong way, and I'm going, well, I wonder if that was a little bigger there, or I wonder if I made a slit there, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's where my design have always come from in the snowboard world, and that's what I thrive for in golf. And so Iliac became this accessory and apparel brand that at one point, I think like 90% of the guys on tour were using my head covers. I invented the alignment stick cover. At the FedEx playoffs, I saw one of my players, I think it was Hunter Mayhem's bag, had its head covers, and the sticks are dancing around and banging around. So I invented a alignment stick cover. And then, a couple of years later, everyone starts copying it. So I saw the same trends as the snowboard, because I don't look at the other companies. I'm looking at what the players need from a player's point of view. And then I'm going into my studio or my van or my shop and making the products, and then getting them out there. So that's been my formula. That's still my formula. And that's what makes Iliac so unique. I'm literally sitting at my factory right now here in Oceanside in Carlsbad, and picking out new fabric, launching new shirts. It's very limited. There's only going to be like 400 or 500 of these shirts, and they'll sell out, and they cost twice as much, but they'll last twice as long, as the stuff I think is coming from overseas. So that's kind of me and Iliac in a nutshell. Yeah.
And now you've added face masks too, because that seems to be the newest accessory that everyone needs.
Yeah. So right away, especially initially when it happened, like, we're going to play in one. And so I started using my shirt materials and
Mm-hmm.
then changing the fit. And it's really cool because I played in the I call it the Bandit. It looks like you're going to go rob a bank in it, the one that goes around your full face. And when I played in it, it was slipping off my head, and you had to put it on really tight and like smash your nose to keep it on. I'm like, well, this is a terrible design. And so I put this ear loop in there, this little elastic band, and it goes over about a 4-inch stretch, so it fits over most ears, and it holds it up. So now you can just slide it on when you need to, like if you're going to walk within a few feet of someone, you just hold it up. And so that's really taken off. Like, I'm selling a lot of those, and it's word of mouth. It's like all my product. I don't do advertising. I don't sell it at any golf shops, and it's just at iliacgolf.com. And so, yeah, I'm making something. I look at it as equipment. Like, I'm making something that functions well, and it's my high-end shirt material, so it's antimicrobial, UV, moisture wicking. So it's got all that function stuff that I get ladies buying like 30 at a time. I don't know what they're doing with them. They must be buying them for their family or friends, but I think they like the high-end golf shirt material.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How did you come up with the name?
So, it was kind of false rumors. We make a joke about it, like it was old Tom Morris's girlfriend, Iliac, but his name. But it's not. It's when I first started, I had a golf bag that my brother was playing around with this idea that a golf bag takes the weight off your shoulders like a scuba tank. It puts all the weight on your hips like a backpack.
Uh-huh.
And so I had to actually design that bag, and it was really cool. It took the weight off your shoulders, and it puts it on your iliac crest.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's the hip bone. Yeah. So but I didn't really love the name, but I loved the logo. I loved the red crest and the swooping eye. I designed that.
So how long has Iliac now been around?
I started in 2005, so it's been 15 years,
Okay.
but I didn't really start showing it to the public for about 2 years, but I was kind of working with tour players and building the line for about 2 years. And then, so it's been around, and it's been my goal to always just keep it low key and word of mouth. And that's it. Just the people that like it and want to tell their friends. But I've been in 1,000 of the best resorts and clubs in the world, and all over St. Andrews. I've sold it everywhere. But now I'm just selling it online. I cut that all out.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a great website. It's set up very well. It's very easy to find what you're looking for and find your story, which I think is so intriguing and always gets people going. I think the personalized story of brands is what gets people buying, especially these days when they want to know that they're giving to something more than just what everyone else can get their hands on.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is next for Iliac? And then I know you have some other business ventures that we were going to chat about, but what do you see as next for Iliac?
So I think me as a designer and kind of an athlete, I'm always trying to make the next coolest new product and that, but I just got off a call with my partners and that, and I'm really going to focus on making just the kind of core products like the golf shirts and the head covers better and more accessible, because people can't get Iliac. I have over 400 orders sitting here right now that are weeks and weeks behind, and they complain, but they don't, they can't find anything else like it, because no one's going to spend the money I spend on the materials and the quality and the uniqueness and all that. So I'm going to focus on just making it more accessible. I used to do a lot of pre-buys and let people buy the second I see it and show it, and then it gets delayed, and I almost treated people kind of like a tour player, but I'm going to make it more accessible. So if you want 5 shirts and 3 sets of head covers, you're not going to have to wait months to get it. So that's my main focus right now.
Okay.
Making it more streamlined and really having fun with shirts. I'm looking at this cool new blue and gray camo shirt I'm launching this week, and a kind of couple sets that go with it, and then a special red skull one, just a real limited batch. So just unique things that are small batches and not so hard to get that you have to wait 6 months to get it, but you can get it right away, and then the new batch comes, type thing.
Absolutely. And I think there's a fitness brand that is focused toward women, but they're doing something. It sounds like kind of similar, where it's they want it limited enough where you feel the love and the specialness of being one of the ones that gets it, but there's something new coming and you can keep going, but you're not waiting, just like you said, 6 months to get any of the products, which I think makes everyone feel special, that you can't just go to a big box retailer and purchase it, and it feels a little bit more customized to you. Who is the target customer for Iliac?
Anyone with style. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, it could be a 16-year-old high school kid, and it could be a 75-year-old gentleman. It's someone that is a serious player and appreciates kind of fashion forward and something unique and something not everywhere. So, I don't, people, I hate focus groups and demographics. I mean, that's kind of corporate, and that's how all the ski companies zero in. And our customers are 18.5-year-old, $32,000 income. And, to me, it's whoever's, like I said, just really kind of young at heart and just fashion forward and a serious golfer. I mean, I almost at one point was going to say, like, you got to be a certain handicap to get it. I mean, not for a guy that's, well, I don't think a guy that's going to play golf 5 times a year or every other month is going to go buy a $150 golf shirt and want to rock a shirt with, Italian floral print or skulls on it, or a Scottish tartan, and look like, whoa, like, this guy looks pretty serious. If he's not serious, I don't know. I think it's more kind of a fashion forward, young at heart guy. And then it seems like I have guys that, when they buy one, they get compliments. They're buying, they're kind of in it for life. They only want to wear Iliac. So,
yeah, I think when you find that niche, then it does sell itself, because people are going to want to keep that feeling up.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think. And it's hard for a brand. That's why I've always had a hard time having business partners, because they always want to do everything and scale and make everything for everybody. And a brand, I have one niche. I'm not trying to be everything for everybody. I don't make a khaki pant or a double XL striped navy golf shirt for $60. I mean, that's Nike and all the other companies. And I make stuff that for a guy that's pretty serious about his game. If you're serious about your game, you're probably taking care of your fitness and your diet, and you're almost like a tour player. And so you want a little more of a fashion forward, fitted performance piece of equipment to play in, I think.
Yeah. I mean, just like you said, it is, considering it equipment, it's an extension of your game.
Exactly. Yeah. Jimmy Walker hadn't won, and he won 5 times when he put my clothes on in like 6 months. So we were going, look good, play good.
Yeah.
He was wearing you wouldn't even recognize him. He was wearing like khakis and FootJoy shirts, and he looked like one of another 100 guys on the range on tour. And then all of a sudden he started wearing Iliac, and he's wearing like red tartan and fitted pieces. And first couple of weeks, he's like, whoa, dude, I don't know about this. Guys are complimenting me on the like trim on my pants, and I'll just say thanks.
Yeah, that's all you have to do.
It is obviously all him. I mean, he's an amazing player, and he started winning. But I do believe that when you look different and you feel good, and you don't have to think about your clothes, and people are complimenting you on it, especially like your wife and their friends, and it's like he's like, all right, thanks. He's a real good guy. He's just like got, he wasn't trying, I don't think, fishing for compliments. But when you have a red tartan pocket trim that matches the red tartan on your collar and the belt, and people notice that. It's just subtle little details that I think give you a little bit of confidence, and that might make you feel better when you're 2 over going into a cut, and all of a sudden you make some birdies and feel better than like you're wearing some oversized shirt that's sweaty and no one notices you.
When everyone starts looking the same.
Yeah. So I believe that there's look good, play good, and feel good, and have that. I think it has something to do with it. Yeah,
absolutely. When you made the transition from professional sports to an entrepreneur and a businessman, I mean, obviously you had Lamar snowboards before, but you were still competing. Was it hard to transition out of that physically competitive mode versus more of like the mentally competitive mode with a business?
No, because I never stop, because that's my key. Is like, if I'm not playing and out there, I can't design Like I always laugh at the ski companies or the golf companies that have these designers. I'm like, do you play golf? They're like, oh yeah, I've played, and I've researched it, and I have all this data. I'm like, who's gonna wear that? Like, no one's gonna wear that, dude, because it doesn't work. And so playing, that's part of having a core company. I mean, you have to play, you have to be out there, and that's where the problems are, and that's where the solutions come from. So,
how often do you play?
Yeah. I'm not playing as much because I'm doing Ironmans now, but I keep my hand on it, and I'm around top players, and quite a bit. I mean, for a while there was 6-7 days a week, and then I learned this. Now I'm doing Ironman, so I'm kind of shifting my focus a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm learning, and it's really interesting, and that's, maybe we could talk about it.
Yeah.
That's where my coaching and
yeah, I'd love to jump right in.
Some golfers, yeah. So I've switched to. I'm doing my third Ironman. I'm actually doing a full Ironman Friday.
Oh my goodness!
I'm doing it solo actually because the event's canceled because of the pandemic, and I started doing this about a year and a half ago because my back was going out from golf, from traveling and golfing too much. And it's something that I see on tour every day. And I've been out there, I'm out there on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday when the cameras aren't there. And you see all these guys that can't even get the ball out of the hole. Like they're literally 25-year-old kids that are like, I can't reach the ground. Can you get the ball for me? Because they've just been hitting balls and playing nonstop for for years. and so an Ironman, so my coach Matt Fitzgerald and Gino Cinco, like I have these guys that have been around this forever. Like you can't go hard all the time, or you'll just crash, you'll burn out, your body will fall apart. And so 80-20 training and planning has been this like a real epiphany for me. It showed me that you get a lot of days in, and you do all the work. So I equated it for golfers. So I've actually written a book. It's not ready yet, but it's called Zone Control, and I've written a program just like they've written for me for Ironman. So when I do an Ironman event, Matt, he tells me, exactly what I'm going to do for the first month, and then the second month, and there's a lot of building your base up, real low intensity, easy. And that'd be like a golfer going out and not hitting a lot of drives and just working on short game and not a lot of pressure. And then knowing that, okay, on Saturday, I'm going to have an intense day. I'm going to hit a lot of balls. I'm going to hit some drivers. I'm going to play for money, play in a tournament. So that'd be like zone 5. Most of the week he's practicing in zone 1 and 2 and 3. That way your body is fresh and not injured and can recover, because a driver hitting the ball at 120 miles an hour is like lifting. It's like doing squats. It's really, really hard on your spine. And so I'm really into fitness and training and planning. Like that's my real love and passion, is the sport, being the best you can be as an athlete. And I've been around, guys that have won Masters and British Opens like Zach Johnson and Retief. And Retief has the metal bar in his back, and Zach's like one of the leaders in preventing injury, and he's pretty smart about it, but nowhere compared to what an Ironman does. And so that's what I've learned, and I'm hoping to share and get some of these guys so they don't just beat themselves into the ground where they shorten their career. That's what I see with golf. They have really no way to plan it. They just go out and figure, well, the competition's hitting balls. And I remember stories of my friend Ben Garner grew up playing with Tiger Woods and all the tournaments, and Tiger's dad would literally like put the car lights on the range if the range shut down. It's like, you got hit balls still. And that's probably why he's where he's at physically,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of examples of injuries. I mean, Tiger's a good example. Brooks had pulled out of the FedEx Cup and is now pulled out of the U.S. Open this week. It will be over by the time this episode comes out, but you're seeing this more and more. And I know Jason Day has talked about some of his injuries and what he's struggled with. When you look at these guys and they are traveling as much as they are, and they're playing a 4-round week plus practice rounds like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or playing in the pro-ams, what does 80-20 look like for them?
Yeah, so it's they're 99-1. So they're 99% in zone 5.
Mm-hmm.
They're always tight. They're always damaging their body, and they're probably undernourished and underrested, and they're just a wreck because golf isn't really treated like a sport. I mean, one of my nutritionist friends, and actually her good friend is Tiger's main body guy, and he wears Iliac. and his friend did just a fun study on the golfers on hydration and found out that like 99% of them are dehydrated. So, I mean, that's like the fourth discipline for an Ironman is nutrition and hydration, because when you're running, when you're riding 112 miles after a 2-mile swim, and then you're running 26 miles, the second your body gets above lactate threshold, which means your heart rate, your body's producing lactic acid, it's going to start to crash. And if you don't have, you have to stay under that as much as you can. And 2, you have to have nutrition and hydration. And so what happens is when you're dehydrated, think about it. He was telling me you lose focus, you lose balance, you get frustrated,
mm-hmm.
and then you get, it kind of comes off from there. And that's what happens to a golfer. And I've been out thousands of times walking with these guys in practice rounds. And in hindsight, I think about it, like they'll drink like a bottle of water, like for 18 holes, whereas, the few that are on it and have some good coaching, you see, like I know Jordan Spieth and talking to him about working out and training and stuff. And he's like, yeah, every 3 or 4 holes I have water. And Zach and Jimmy's really good about it. Jimmy keeps like quality meat in his bag and food. And so there's like, I would say like 3% of the guys out there are probably in like 50-50. They're not 80-20 because no one has the confidence probably or the experience to go that easy.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the world's best runners and best Nordic, like gold medalists, like my coaches have studied all these guys, they spend 80% of their time really low intensity. Like their heart can't get above a certain rate. They can't damage tissue because they know that when that 20 work comes, they're hitting it hard. And so I built this whole program. I'm not ready to launch it, but it's written. It's for golfers, and it shows them how to get ready for the Masters, shows them how to get ready for tour, how to get ready for, even your club championship. And it walks you through like a 12-week program where you just follow it. You just know that tomorrow, all I'm doing is putting and getting a massage, and then I'm going to do short camp. Like you're working on stuff, but your body's recovering, right? Where most guys want to hit 2 or 3 buckets of balls a day minimum.
Right.
And that's, yeah. So it has to change. And I don't think I would have ever seen that had I not gone to the extreme of an Ironman event, because that's like the extreme. I mean, I'm doing a 10-hour race in Hawaii and high temperatures, and you get your nutrition off, you're done. You just bonk and you just can't go anymore. Whereas the golfers, they're just going to start making bogeys and blame it on their equipment or their coach or someone. So I think that's the epiphany. And I'd love to work with some of the guys. If they want to contact me, they can text me or call me or reach out to me at the bertlamar.com site. I'm working with 2 kids that are trying to get on the Asian tour, trying to get to the PGA
mm-hmm.
tour. They were a wreck. I mean, they were just hitting balls, like hundreds of balls. I think this kid said one day he hit like almost 1,000 balls.
Oh my God. Yeah. And that's too much.
Yeah. And then he could barely even move. And then their dads are telling him to try to hit more balls. And I'm just like, well, this is good. He's gonna make it maybe to 23 or 4.
Right.
And,
right before you just
have to
crash.
have,
Like, you hope you have a really successful career in a couple of years because you won't be able to move after that.
yeah, yeah. And
You
in
know,
hindsight, I thought, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because you talk so much about recovery and sleep and nutrition and hydration, I'll be really interested to see if, since the players now have access to Whoop and the Whoop data, and they can see some of this, if they will realize how poor their recovery is and want to change what they're doing to get a better recovery, especially if they didn't have a good day on the course. Like, you didn't recover, like Whoop says you didn't recover, you're fully aware, and you go and you have a terrible day on the course. Like, if it will kind of change direction and change mentality of some of the players and coaches that are out there to say, okay, we need to be doing something different.
Yeah, I mean, that's the perfect data. That's a great example. Yeah, that was the first thing. Like, I actually became friends with the president of Polar Watches, my main golf coach. He's been doing Ironman for 40 years. My ART guy, Gino, and that's what they put the watch on me, and they're like, okay, this is it. And then Matt Fitzgerald, my planning coach, he's like the guru of planning, and he's like, okay, and I loved him because he's the opposite of most coaches. He's like, you're just going to be taking it easy. And like, when I was starting and building a base, my heart rate couldn't go over, 150 or 140 on some of these runs. And like, my wife would laugh, like, that lady just passed you with the stroller. like, I know, but I'm running for an hour and my heart rate can't get higher than this. Now, a year later, I'm running like 7-minute miles, and I'm running 20 miles at a time. And you have to build the machine smart. Right. And I don't think any golfer out there, until they have an injury, has the confidence or the leadership to practice the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
Because it just feels wrong to just go chip for an hour, putt for 20 minutes, you literally count the balls. Like, okay, you can only hit 12 balls and 3 drivers, and that's it. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to go stretch and get a massage and eat and hydrate, and you have to get 10 hours sleep, and 90% it's got to be quality. Mm-hmm. Or tomorrow's workout, I'm going to change it. It's going to be different. And that's where, real leadership, and it's all new. Like, it's all changing for golf, because golf was a cart driving, beer drinking. I mean, Jack Nicklaus, his comments were, I'd play 18 and eat steaks and beer and then play another 18. And so he's the greatest of all time.
But things have
Tiger
changed.
Came along and Tiger went the other way. I think Tiger's dad's a Green Beret. I don't think, he 80-20, he would laugh at you and probably make you do 100 push-ups.
Right.
If you told him take it easy.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
So, your Ironman, I heard you sneak in something there about Hawaii. Are you going to Hawaii on Friday for your Ironman?
No, I'm doing it here.
Oh, okay.
The one I was supposed to do this month, but Hawaii is like the Masters for Hawaii. That's like Kona's where the world is,
okay.
And that's the one you want to. That's the one you want to do. And
okay.
I'm doing a race there in November.
Okay.
They've just been canceling them left and right.
Yeah.
With what's going on, but yeah.
So this will be your first one by yourself, essentially, because the other 2 have been like group events, right? Like, where you've been competing.
No, I've actually done 3 halves and 2 fulls, and the first full was a group, and the second full I just did like 4 months ago was during the pandemic. It was supposed to be Texas, and it was canceled, so I did it solo.
Okay.
I'm thinking where I want to be in 3 years. Like, in 3 years,
you still have to keep going.
Speaking, so I want to keep training. I'm not going to let this virus stop me from I'm not going to lose 2 years of training, because literally, if I take off a month, my heart will just go backwards. So I'm trying to build and adapt and.
So what does 3 years from now look like for you?
3 years from now has me kicking ass in the pro level, running down Kona in the top 10, Ironman Worlds, at 54 years old, and everyone going, wow, how could he do that at that age? And that's it. I have Kona 23 on all my stuff because that's my dream. And if
That's
I don't
fantastic.
even get near it, I don't care. But that's the dream.
Yeah.
That's what I work towards. Yeah.
And I was watching a YouTube video yesterday of someone that that I follow, and they write their goals on. She does it on champagne bottles, like expensive bottles of champagne, and leaves it in her fridge. And then every time she sees it, she's reminded, like, this is my goal. So one of her goals was a certain amount of employees. She's like 2/3 of the way there. And it's just so interesting because I think sometimes we get lost in, if we have one bad day, we shoot everything. Or we have to be perfect all of the time, or none of it works. And the 80-20 of focus and letting yourself be human and rest and recover, I just think is it's realistically not a new concept. It's just one that we don't seem to be built to accept. We want to be 100% and perfect all the time and going all the time.
Yeah, and you nailed it. I mean, that's the recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what my coach in his books Matt calls zone blindness. And so, like, your recreational guy will go out and he's like, okay, I've been working all day and I got to run hard.
Yeah.
It's my workout and I want to be great. And where you go to Kenya and run with the guy that won 2 gold medals, and he's like, my ankle's a little weird. I'm just going to take it real easy and I'm going to go in, or my coaches have me running an easy, like, 6-mile light run. But their easy run is like, after time becomes like something that an average guy would dream about doing because he's done it smart. And he's just like a guy going out, like a tour player can go out and shoot 68, like, with his son on the phone, like, not even thinking about it, just casual, warm up and play. But it's taken a long time to get to that level. And so, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's no shame in doing less, but I think there's a big, misunderstanding of not doing anything and sitting on a couch. That's like the worst. Like, I remember early on, coach, when I first started having injuries with golf, they're like, you got to take some days off. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, just take it off. And so I'd sit around, and then it was worse because I'd lock up and get tight and I'd get frustrated because I wasn't around golf. So in Ironman training and in 80-20 rule, you're absorbing volume. So you're still around it, maybe even more, because now you can go chip for 2 hours and you can putt and you can play 4 holes real easy. And it's different than hitting 500 golf balls where your back's about to break and then you got off an airplane and you didn't stretch and eat and massage.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't look at your whoop and you didn't sleep. And, now all of a sudden you're a recipe for injury. And that's where ego, like you said, and maybe our upbringing is like, well, I hear my dad telling me work hard because the competition's working hard, or you better go practice because, they are. And then you go out, you didn't stretch, you're tired. And now all of a sudden you're injured and you missed the cut on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're looking back and blaming everything but what you could have done. And so many of these guys, I mean, I'm with you, and what you said is they don't know. I mean, people just in general don't know, because we just haven't been brought up to think that recovery or balance is a thing. So it will be very interesting to see over the next few years how that transition happens. I mean, just like you were saying with the flip from Jack to Tiger, I think Tiger was the first one that was really like getting in the gym and getting after it. And now cross training for a lot of these guys. I mean, Justin Thomas talks about it a lot. He works out with Colby Wayne, who we had on the podcast, and we talked about that a lot, where what they were doing isn't necessarily like it's whole body. It's not just like, let's make more power in your swing. It's let's make sure that your body can actually move and be able to do what you need to do. And it sounds like that's where your focus will be as a coach as well.
Yeah, I think that's why it takes someone like me. I think it takes like a one partner to really know everything about the player. That's why I only coach 10 people at a time, because I have to know like their different habits. Like I'm coaching Beaver Fleming he's a skateboarder. He's going to be in the Olympics this summer skateboarding for the first time. And you know, he's just different. I mean, he does different things. He works for Nitro Circus. He travels. He does events and he's flipping. So I have to know like when he's coming off a week of that, or just at home filming or doing different things. And it's the same for golfers. Some guys like to play 7 weeks straight, and some guys like to play 2 weeks and go home and see their family. And then, you know, and so it has to be tailored, but someone has to understand it and watch it, because if they're not, then it's real easy for the player to, you know, just be in a recipe for burnout, disaster. So it's all about peaking. Like everything I do, the first session I have with anybody, it's called the dream session, and it's a 10-year dream, kind of like what you asked me in 3 years.
Yeah.
And we work back. If you want to be the best player in the world in 10 years, then we've got to change a lot of things.
Right.
You know, you can't just go get it in 1 year. And then we start working back to tournaments, and, you know, whether it's Q school this year for a guy. So like for this one kid I'm working with, Bobby, like he has to peak in Asia where he's going to tour school. And so everything that we do is about just getting ready for that for a certain date. So he's not overtired, overworked out. He's done all his technical stuff months before. He's done any strength training with, you know, at that point you should just be easing into it. And then it's called tapering in Ironman. So you build your base, you do all your interval work, you build up your race volume, and then you start tapering. And then you hope to just give yourself the best chance to peak at those key events. And that's where, you know, I don't think golfers know the difference between, you know, the Masters, Q School, you know, and, you know, Farmers Open, or just a regular event. And then they might be going into their most important event all burnt out and tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There have been a couple of people that have been on the podcast, wives and caddies, that have talked about different players and how many weeks of the year that they will play, or how many weeks in a row they will play. And Sung J M is a really good example. He takes very little time off. There are a handful of guys that play in almost every tournament every season, and this year's season, being a super season, is going to be really interesting to see how many people, outside of like if they don't qualify for something, or can't get in because they didn't qualify in some sort of way, but how many tournaments some of these guys who play the majority will end up with at the end of the year. Like, will Sung Jae end up with 40 plus events? And if so, what will 2021, 2022 look like for his body, his mental fortitude? I mean, from my understanding with him, he just kind of puts his head down and he is a grinder. And I mean, it's impressive, but how long does it take to take that toll where you can't do what you're doing and continue to play at that level?
Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't say it's impressive, because you're just encouraging that mentality, because it's, you know, and it might work for him, and then it's hard for everyone to argue. It's like, especially if a guy has won 4 times and a major, you're like, well, it takes that. You have to grind. You have to stop in 12 weeks. But in 5 years, no one will even know who he is.
Yeah.
That's the problem. He'll be another one of the, you know, Retief Goosen or Zach or Tiger Woods. You know, Tiger got lucky and he's come back. But, I mean, if you want a long-term career, and that's what golf is. I mean, golf a sport guys can play for 25 years.
Yeah.
And they have to be around a smart team. And there's a lot to it. I mean, it's not just, you can't just get lucky. And and guess. I mean, scheduling, planning. I mean, it takes like I have like a 6-man team for my Ironman stuff.
See, you understand, you get it.
Yeah, and you have to, because your nutrition has to be right, your tissues. I mean, tissue tolerance in golf is, no one even understands how brutal that is. I mean, these guys are walking 6 miles, they're traveling, they're swinging a club at 120 miles an hour that's damaging their spine and their back in the most awkward way, stop, start. If they don't cool down and stretch after properly and get ready for the next day, they're like all the guys that you don't see. I mean, I've been there. I mean, you go through the locker room on Tuesday, half the guys they're cupping, they're on ice, they're ibuprofen, they can't even move, and no one even gets it. I mean, it's like, and now that I see, Ironman level at the top level, at the average level, it's the same thing as golf. They're guys just run themselves into the ground, and then they're fast for 1 year, but then they're probably gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's changing. Yeah.
I have to ask, I mean, because Bryson DeChambeau has been all over the news. I mean, golf news specifically, with some of the changes that he has made to his body and some of his workouts and stuff. What are your feelings on the adjustments he's made and what you think that may look like for him in the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years?
Yeah, I don't know what his workout looks like. I don't know him personally, or his trainer, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure, just because Ironman's so unique and so high, like long endurance, that it's probably not quite like that. It's probably not quite. It's probably like you talked about earlier, like how do we get more power and strength?
Mm-hmm.
But there is mobility and recovery in that. But I remember talking to Jordan Spieth, sitting in the parking lot last year, and I was telling him I was doing Ironman. It's like, oh, rad, I want to do one of those someday. And I'm like, what do you do now? And he's like, I lift. And I'm like, why do you lift for golf? And I just was curious, because I know some golfers that have completely stopped, like Charles Howell and that. And Spieth said, well, I like that feeling in my muscles when they're just slightly sore. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, that's tissue damage. I go, that's why you don't have as much control. I'm sure it feels good because you think you're going to look tone and it sounds, but it's so custom for each person. Like if you and I could be totally different. Like you could be so mobile and stretchy that you need stability. And you would, my coaches, my trainers would have you doing like all kinds of ball work and stability stuff to
mm-hmm.
strengthen your core and strengthen your stability, where I'm the opposite and tight and stiff, and I need more mobility work. And so you have to know what the person needs so that they can peak. I mean, that's the whole goal here, is we're trying to get them to peak to win a golf tournament. So if they're like the guy you mentioned that's trying to win a golf tournament every week for 20 weeks straight, that's not going to last forever, I don't think.
Yeah.
But, the guy that's like, okay, I want to win, I want to give myself the best shot for these 4 tournaments, and then I want to recover and then give myself the best shot for these 4, and then I want to recover, and then I want to give myself the biggest chance for these majors. And that's kind of what I think is fun about the planning that I'm doing with people. And I think they like it, and they're more pleasant, they feel better, they're eating better, they're eating more. Sometimes, they're just more like living more of a normal life than just beating balls and in the airport.
Yeah, and just flying all over the world. I mean, it seems like a very enchanting life until you talk to people that do it, and they're like, I haven't seen my family in weeks. I'm exhausted. I couldn't even tell you what city I was in if I didn't have it on my calendar. It's tough. It's definitely tough.
Yeah, and it's tissue tolerance, like mentally too. Like can't do that. I mean, you have to have days off and recover mentally, especially golf. I mean, it's a grind.
Yeah.
And I watched it initially. I remember one year I had Jimmy Walker and Zach Johnson and Tyrone Van Asvigen and Danny Lee. So Danny and Tyrone are rookies, and Zach and Jimmy had been out there. And Zach and Jimmy probably is where I learned, that how some of the golfers are actually taking care of themselves at a high level. And like Zach would come in, I remember in Vegas, like Tyrone's out there from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m, just grinding, like first opportunity to be at these events. And Zach's coming in like, okay, I'm going to putt for an hour and get a massage, and tomorrow it's 9 holes, and I have like an Oakley thing, or, it's just very geared up towards peaking on Friday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And, that takes, the only reason he learned that and those guys because of injury. Like Jimmy's neck went out on him at his first tournament. He got on the tour and his first event, his neck went out because he just hit too many balls. He probably wasn't mobile, and he was probably cold, and he probably hit balls and pulled something in his neck. He was out the whole year. And Siwoo Kim, he was the youngest to get his tour card, and I used to do photo shoots with him all the time, and he would literally, like, any chance you get, just want to lay on the ground and sleep. Like, this kid's a little tired, Dad. And to just travel them all over. And so that's where it's hard. Like, that's why I think you need a team and a leader, because no one's really watching how many miles. Like, they don't even know. It's like, oh, wow, this guy just flew 14 hours and then jumped out and started hitting balls.
Yeah, at the Waste Management this year, which is the only tournament that we got to go to before everything shut down this year, we saw Bryson, and it was this was January, right? So COVID was a thing, but no one was really scared of it yet in the U.S., so everyone was just kind of relaxed, and he had just gotten back from, I want to say he was in Dubai, and he had like a little bit of a cold or something, and one of the guys like asked him like where he had been or whatever, and he said he just flew in. Like, I mean, he wrapped up a tournament and flew from Dubai to Arizona, and that was during the practice rounds, because we were there Monday through Thursday. I mean, he was out on the practice rounds. This was probably like a Monday, Tuesday, and ready to go. And I mean, the exhaustion from just the flight has to be a lot. That these guys, I mean, they don't always have some of that time off before they fly to like Europe for the British Open or anything like that. I mean, it's got to be tough. Maybe there will be, even though it's a super season, maybe there will be a little less of that, and maybe a little less international travel may help some of these guys this year, because it's maybe a 4-hour flight instead of a 12-hour flight.
Oh yeah. International, you got to go a week or two before to get acclimated. And Mickelson figured that out. I mean, most guys, if you're there 3 days before, you're like middle of the day, you're ready to go to sleep, and then you get in bed and you're like, okay, I'm ready, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to acclimate. And what's so hard about golf is it's set up to keep these guys on the treadmill, like of chasing tournaments. They can't afford to miss an event.
Right.
Like Tyrone, he's been wearing my stuff for years, and he missed his card last time by 2 or 3 spots, and you have to stay away from your family for like 11 weeks straight,
right?
Because one tournament, one more 100K check can make the difference, and
it absolutely can.
That way. Yeah, but that's where, like, I would literally tell them, like, look, you want to try to make 50K for the next 11 weeks, or do you want to skip 2 weeks and then take it real easy 1 week and come in and give yourself a chance to win, or the top 10 or the top 5. Like, that's how what I would tell them. That's how Ironman training is. It's like you don't just go beat yourself up every day for 6 months and hope you're better when the race comes. It's calculated, and you plan it out, and there's no guarantee, but you can give yourself the best chance, with the science and, like you say, the watch, and you can see how you're sleeping and recovery, and then it takes someone, like me, it takes someone that's really like a coach or a leader that's really going to tell you, like, you're not playing. I'm sorry. I know it's your family's there and everyone's there, but your lactate threshold's high. You're not sleeping right. It's just,
it's time to pause.
Yeah, we have to keep the big picture in play, and going to take this week off, and we're still, the main goal is to get ready for the Masters or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Bert, this has been so fascinating. I have learned a lot about 80/20. I'm super excited about that. I'm looking forward to your book coming out and seeing more people and recognizing Iliac more on people on the tour. I would love to play a quick 9 with you if you are ready.
Yeah. Let me know when you're out here.
Oh, no, I mean, well, yes, I would like to play that too. You won't want to play with me. My husband's much better than me. I just like talking about golf. I'm not very good at playing it, unfortunately. One day that'll be it.
Yeah.
But we'll just do a quick 9 of rapid fire questions. So just tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, you got it.
All right. So what is your ideal recovery day?
A 6-mile run and a easy 2K swim, followed by a walk with my dog.
Okay, so I'll take the walk with the dog.
Yeah.
What's your go-to on-course snack?
Water.
I should have known that after everything we talked about. What's your favorite sport to practice?
Ironman.
Do you still get on your skateboard or snowboard or anything? Like, is that even a thing for you right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm 54. I was just I'm coaching a kid for the skating for the Olympics, and I was just skating with him in the training facility and skating in the bowl, and he's got me doing little mini frontside airs and grinds, everything. It's weird because my mind wants to do all the tricks, and my body's like, no, dude, a slam in here is not going to feel good right now.
Yeah, you have a few things going on right now, so don't beat your body up too much. What is your favorite golf tournament or golf course?
The British Open and St. Andrews, the old course, just the history and the atmosphere. And yeah, it's just incredible.
Absolutely.
To me, that's pure golf.
Yeah. What is your ideal way to spend a weekend?
Saturdays are usually my big training day, so usually getting in like a 3 to 6 hour train, which is swim or bike or swim and run or bike and run, and then some recovery, and then hopefully a dinner in my Sprinter van on the coast, watching the sunset with my wife and dog.
Oh, that's a good one. I like it. When you vacation, do you prefer a lake, ocean, or mountains?
Well, lake and mountain kind of go together, so you could get both.
That's true.
Yeah, probably more of the ocean. Even though I live on the beach in Carlsbad, I'm more of like if it's a vacation, tropical, Hawaii, and warm.
Feels like you're getting away a little bit more. What is your favorite type of music?
I like all types, but I really love the Foo Fighters, but I love Bach, and I love like meditation music. So I'm like all over the place.
You are all over the place. I like it.
Yeah.
What is your favorite piece of golf or just in general workout tech?
Tech? What do you mean?
Like, is it your polar watch, or is it is it your range finder, or what is your favorite piece of like technical thing that you use, whether it's for your Ironmans or your golf game?
Yeah, so I don't wear the polar watch golfing. I did for a little while just to see the heart rate. Actually, it was pretty interesting to see because the heart rate really shoots up. It's pretty crazy how it goes up just with pressure. So I would say my polar watch for sure for my Ironman. When I take it off, there's like a white mark on my arm.
That's when you know you're an athlete, when you have all of the training marks from the sun on you.
Yeah.
And then the last one, what habit do you have now that you wish you would have started earlier?
That would probably definitely be the 80/20 training. I think all of my careers would have been, I think I would have performed better. I think I would have won more and I would have done more. I could have gone longer. an epiphany. I mean, the opposite of, work hard, go, go, go. Competition's going. You better not take it easy. I mean, I never do anything now if I'm tired. And then I'm doing more than anyone in the world. I mean, I'm running, I think last Saturday was a 600-mile bike ride and a 12-mile run. And I mean, it's because you're rested. So yeah, I would definitely switch the thinking. The 80-20 training.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Well, where can I know you mentioned this a couple times throughout the interview, but where can we follow you and continue the conversation online?
Yeah, so, the Iliac Golf, for sure, my Instagram, the Iliac Golf, by Bert Lamar.
Oh, sorry, I think it cut out there at the end. So you said Iliac Golf and Bert Lamar?
Yeah, and then Bert Lamar. And then I would love to I don't mind, because for people that want to train like a pro, they can text me. I think that's the best. And we just set up a, FaceTime and have that sort of dream session, because that's my favorite thing to do, is to get someone that really wants to go after a dream and work at it like the top in the world.
Yeah.
So, can I give you that number?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Yeah, it's 760-889-0272, and that's my direct cell. And just shoot me a text with what you're thinking about, what your sport is, and we'll set up a call or FaceTime or a meeting if you're in San Diego. And it all works back from the dream. And you build the dream team, and you build the plan, and try to train like the best in the world, even if you're just doing something, as a hobby. I think that's the best way. It's such a great, way to go about it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Bert, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today. I am super excited to share you with our audience, and look forward to hearing all about Friday and how your Ironman goes.
Thank you so much, Amy. Yeah, it's a pleasure meeting you, and good luck with your new family.
Thank you.
Xander?
Yep.
Xander, yeah, good. Yeah, keep the balance going. The 80-20 rule there too applies for moms. Give yourself a lot of pace.
Yes. And for those of you that didn't know, we did have our son, but Bert and I on our first call gave me so much great advice about giving myself some grace. And I really appreciate that, because you hear a lot of other younger moms saying, give yourself grace. It's really hard. It gets better. But you don't always hear that from guys. So I really appreciate that. My husband is really supportive of that, but it's really nice to just know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. They become awesome little kids and then adults, kind of like your kids have. So I really appreciate all the advice and motivation to get through some of the sleepless nights that we've had, and we know will still continue to come for the next few months at least.
Awesome. I'm sure you're doing great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay, you too.
Bye, Bert. Thanks for joining me today. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a minute of the action. See you soon.